will be giving his reflection on behalf of all of the graduates.
Greetings, friends, parents, neighbors, faculty, and staff. My name is Verrilli, and as you have just heard, I am a senior at Moeller High School. I thank you all for being here, and for all the work you have done to help my classmates grow into the young men they are tonight. Now, I'm going to do something a little unorthodox. I'm going to ask you a question. It is, perhaps, the largest and most powerful question I can ask you, yet it comes from the most humble of beginnings. I want you all to think about this question as I stand here and speak to you today. Do I dare disturb the universe? These are the 6 words that have influenced me the most throughout my high school career. From freshman year, reading about Jerry Renault's struggle against the vigils at a fictional Trinity High School, to senior year, reciting T.S. Eliot's poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, at Moeller's National Honor Society induction ceremony. Now, at risk of writing another college essay, and my mom definitely knows how many of those I've had to write this year, I'll explain why. When I first came to Moeller, I was anxious about entering a prestigious school. Throughout those first few months, I didn't really feel like I fit the stereotype of a Moeller kid. And the problem was that I wanted to. I mean, I tried to play sports. I tried out for the soccer team, but I wasn't any good. And I didn't have the drive some other kids had to love the sport and play it at a higher level. I didn't know anyone. The teachers were all new, and I hadn't had to assimilate myself to a new school since I had moved to Cincinnati 4 years prior. As a result, I was a loud and awkward freshman who did art, hoping to make a good impression on my fellow classmates. So when Mr. Gerard gave our pubescent English class The Chocolate War by Robert Cormier, it would only make sense that I'd be captivated. Here was this dopey freshman entering a big, bad, all-male, Catholic high school. He was average, introverted, and was figuring out his way in the world. It only took me 4 years to realize that this book was about me. About us. The Chocolate War follows freshman Jerry through his first year at a Moeller-esque Trinity High School. Like all good heroes' journeys, he faces a few challenges along the way. When the school's headmaster, Brother Leon, calls upon the school's baddies, a group called the Vigils, to help promote the annual fall raffle, chocolate sale, Jerry's in for some 200 pages of figuring out what he's really made of. So in his locker, his only safe place at Trinity, Jerry has this poster with the quote, "Do I dare disturb the universe?" It's taken from T.S. Eliot's poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, which follows a man's internal journey as he ponders his place in the world. In this same way, Jerry ponders this question, and it is those thoughts that lead him to extend his boycott against the chocolate sale indefinitely. So, he starts a war with the Vigils, hence the title, because of his desire to disturb the universe. Now, this war doesn't exactly end well for Jerry, but when I read it, those 6 words always stuck in my head. Jerry thought my thoughts. He was a new kid at a new school, struggling to find himself. I wanted to be like Jerry. I wanted to disturb the universe. But for me, there was no chocolate war to stand up against. And had there been, I'm not sure I would have known how to stand against it. I mean, I wasn't fighting against a big, tyrannical system. I may not have yet felt the family spirit our school preached about, but Moeller isn't a place that experiences rampant bullying or has a devilishly corrupt administration. So, I guess the next best thing I could do was explore. I could find a cause. discover something about myself, something worth fighting for. I still didn't really fit in as a Moeller kid. Maybe I was a typical freshman in that regard. But I decided to keep looking for that something, that tiny disturbance I could make in our infinite universe. So little by little, I found the motivation to continue studying and making my angst-ridden art pieces. It wasn't much of a disturbance, but it made me feel important. I think it was late in my freshman year when I first heard of Plato's allegory of the cave. My brother mentioned it to me when I was writing an English paper. He said I might impress Gerard if I brought it up. Of course, I didn't understand it then, so I never put it in my paper. But having read it again and having had 4 years of high school experience, I think I'm getting there. So, Plato is dictating from Socrates as he theorizes with a man named Glaucon one day. And Socrates, being the genius, bearded man he is, tells Glaucon to picture a cave. In this cave, he says, there are, let's say, 4 prisoners, 4 people, chained to this wall, fettered in such a way that they can only see a small spot of the wall in front of them. And these 4 have been stuck there, trapped there, staring at this spot for as long as they can remember. Just behind them, outside, a small fire continuously burns. And behind this, unseen masters who hold up shapes for the men to see. But the men never see the actual shapes. They only see reflections of their reality, shadows on the wall. One day, one of the men grows tired of these shadows, breaks free from his bondage, and tries to leave the cave. But the sun is so bright that as he tries to exit, it burns his eyes. So he stays a little while near the edge. But as his eyes adjust to the new sunlight, he finally exits. And then he experiences the world. He sees trees, real trees, and light, and grass, food, and animals, and people, and love. It's overwhelming to a man who's only seen shadows of these things. Now, they're real. After a few years in this world, he realizes he must go back to the cave and tell the men of what he's seen. So he finds it again. He goes inside, and he finds the men, and he tells them, there's a whole other world out there. A real world filled with trees, and light, and grass, food, and animals, and people, and love. A whole other world, he tells them. But they don't believe him. All that exists in their worlds are the shadows on the wall. When I first came to Moeller, it was the cave, and I was its prisoner. I couldn't help being so because all I had heard about Moeller was a reflection of it. I saw in that cave of a school projections of sports, and jocks, and popularity, and judgment. And that was all I could believe. It was all I wanted to believe. I'd find the light of reality at some other school, I thought. The chocolate war, in part, helped me break out of that cave. It helped me realize I wasn't alone at a big, bad, all-male Catholic high school. And having seen that false image of Moeller, it was much easier for me to differentiate that from the reality of the school. Socrates has this interesting belief. He thought that each person possessed inside of him all the knowledge he would ever know. He just had to unlock it. He says we've been given an opportunity to grow, to discover and learn what we may already know, though we don't realize it. In part, I'm glad I had that false image of Moeller, because it gave me the ability to grow. I'm glad I came to Moeller as an innocent, awkward freshman, because it helped me realize I had the ability to change. I had started in darkness, but I grew to move toward the light. After my freshman year, I started to explore the real Moeller. I did a few service trips, attended a few football games, drew a few pictures, did a few plays and a few musicals, went to England, kissed a few girls, made a few friends, and in the end, grew in ways I wouldn't even have imagined before going to this school. Don't get me wrong, I've had miserable days here. From days of freshman anxiety to those of senior regret, to those worst of days, including the deaths of Mr. Champlin, Josh Flume, Nick Allen, and Bubba Hochter. But in the end, the Moeller community always gave me hope. The sadness I have experienced here has never exceeded the joy. And even through these tragedies, we've all grown closer together as a Moeller family. Whether in the community, in the classroom, in the art room, on the field, or on the stage. I have Moeller to thank for this. It's a feeling that goes beyond that physical building. But I think it's even more than that. I have all of you to thank for this. Whether you realize it or not, every single one of you has made this school worth the 4 years I've spent here. In the words of magician-filmmaker George Méliès in Hugo, my friends, I address you tonight as you truly are, wizards, mermaids, travelers, adventurers, magicians. Come and dream with me. So I am now addressing you in the same way, men of Moeller. You who have graduated in years past, you who graduate with me here tonight, and you future generations who will graduate in the years to come. I give you this challenge. Make the world a little better. Make your own tiny disturbance in our infinite universe. In the words of Socrates, we have brought you into the world to be rulers of the hive, kings of yourselves and of the other citizens, and have educated you far better and more perfectly than they have been educated, so that you are better able to share in that double duty of seeing in the dark. Some of your years here may not have been as memorable as mine, though I hope they have been. Either way, our years here have ended. This is the end of high school. But you cannot look at it with sadness. It's a time of joy. We can now find another cave to explore. There's a whole other world out there. And no, it will not always be easy. But it will always be worth it. I believe that. We must keep going anyway. I'm not asking any of you to change the world, but I am asking you. No. I'm daring you to make your world a little better. In the years to come, in college, at home, at work, in your community, with your future spouse, wherever and with whomever you may end up, make this life worthwhile. Because you may inspire someone else to do the same. And who knows, maybe you already have. So, to answer my tiny, insignificant, vast, and profound question, yes, I dare to disturb the universe.